How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Horseshoe Huddle film review series through the Horseshoe Huddle YouTube channel. I'm your host, Zach Hicks, lead analyst over at horseshoehuddle.com through Fan Nation and Sports Illustrated. And today we're here to talk about a Colts rookie yet again. Unfortunately, it's not about quarterback Anthony Richardson, who was not active in this past game or did not take a snap in this past game against the Chicago Bears in the preseason. But we're going to talk about a different rookie. We're going to talk about 7th round pick Jaylon Jones, outside cornerback out of Texas A&M. Now, this is a guy who is one of the youngest overall players on the entire Colts roster, only 21 years old, but he has 32 career starts under his belt at Texas A&M, was basically thrown into action as a true freshman, and it really shows on his film. I mean, this is a guy who, again, 21 years old, but he plays like a 10-year vet. That is what we like to see out of cornerbacks. Reminds me a lot of former cornerback for the Colts, Rocky Ya-Sin, just a really steady player. And we're going to look at some film from this past game against Chicago Bears and just look at how steady and how secure he is on the outside. So getting into this film, very first clip here, nothing too crazy. It looks like the Colts are going to be in maybe a little bit of a cover two. It could be quarters, but it's such a quick hitter here by the Chicago Bears that it's hard to really determine if this is going to be a quarters or a cover two. But regardless, the drops are going to be pretty similar on the outside. You know, we got the little shuffle technique from Jaylon Jones. He's getting back into a shuffle, and he's reading the quarterback's eyes like you do in zone coverage. And right as that quarterback is starting to throw to the flat, he's throwing to this flat tight end here, Jaylon Jones gets that back foot in the dirt, and he's driving downhill on that ball, takes a really good angle here, and dislodges man from ball. Obviously, the ball's a little off target. It's not the greatest throw in the world from Tyson Bagent, the undrafted rookie out of Shepherd, but I do like this drive downhill by Jaylon Jones. I really like what he does on this. Again, plant that foot, transition from the shuffle, back pedal shuffle, whatever it's going to be, and come downhill and make that contact as the ball arrives. Even if this is an on-target pass, this is going to be a solid hit by the corner, which probably dislodges the ball and creates an incompletion. So it might not be a pass breakup in the books, but in my heart, when I'm looking at a play like this, I'm thinking, yeah, this is pretty much a pass breakup. This is what you want to see from your corner. He does everything right, from his technique to his shuffle technique to driving downhill, planting that back foot, and then making the solid contact on the would-be pass catcher. This is everything you want to see in those zone drops and when you're playing the flats like that. So excellent play by Jaylon Jones. Again, I guess I would call that a cover two zone, but you know, it could have been quarters with how quick of a hitter that was. Getting to our second clip here, we got a little bit of a banjo coverage on the outside here. So if you guys don't know what banjo coverage is, essentially when you have an offense that's going to be in a stacked look, or they're going to be in a side-by-side look like this on a 2x2 set, you know, where they're going to have two receivers this close together, you don't want to have your corners lined up next to each other in press coverage, because that leaves them susceptible to rub routes and legal pick plays. So if you were to have Jaylon Jones right here next to Tony Brown Jr., you could have a potential play where this guy's like wrapping up and this receiver's cutting inside. Corners are running into each other because they're on the same level of the field. You just don't want that from your cornerback group. So what you call is banjo, or whatever the Colts have terminology for this play. What I know it as is banjo coverage, where you have the slot corner up in press and you have the outside corner like 5 to 10 yards off the ball, just to have these guys on different levels, so you're not getting confusion on those rub routes and legal pick plays. So we have Jaylon Jones here in off-man coverage. I think the Colts are going to come into a cover one robber situation where the free safety is going to drop deep, and you're going to have the strong safety come over the middle of the field and take out that hook flat, or that hook zone right there. So yeah, at the beginning of this play, you're going to have Tony Brown Jr. just carrying that slot receiver. That's kind of how banjo rules work. Sometimes you'll have it to where if this guy were to be the first one to break in, then the slot corner would take him, and the outside corner would take him. But it's kind of cut and dry with this play. You know, there's no real crisscrossing by these receivers. Nothing too crazy going on. So you have Jaylon Jones again in off-man coverage. He's getting back in his drop a little bit. He's getting to the sticks. He's not going, too far or anything like that. And then again, once that receiver is breaking outside, he's driving on the ball. And this is what you really like to see out of Jaylon Jones, is that explosiveness. He's a player where, he ran a 4.57 in the 40-yard dash. It's probably why he fell all the way to the 7th round, despite having a really solid career and a lot of experience under his belt. But what you really like out of him is his explosiveness. A really good vertical jump, good broad jump, excellent 10-yard split in his 40-yard dash. So you know he's an explosive player, so he needs to be dominant in this area of the field. You know, he might not be a guy who can run with the Tyreek Hills or run with the Justin Jeffersons or anything like that. But if he can be a player where he can give a little bit of ground and then explode downhill and try to separate man from ball, that's what you want out of a corner like this. Be a consistent tackler, be a guy who can crash downhill. And when you're looking at this play here, he eats up that ground quickly. He closes the space between himself and the receiver. And by the time the ball gets there, he's right there. He's a split second away from making a play on that ball. His hand gets in there. He's like, honestly, if this is not a really good hand catch by Daurice Fountain, which former Colts great, Daurice Fountain makes a really great catch here, gets his hands extended to pull that ball in. If that ball is a little bit more inside, Jaylon Jones is able to punch that hand through there and knock it away. Just a really good throw and catch by the quarterback and wide receiver. But again, this is a really good play by Jaylon Jones. It gets the offense into a 3rd and 3. He makes a secure tackle despite not making that play on the ball and separating man from ball. And he makes this a tough catch. That's really what we want to look at here from cornerback, especially in the preseason. This is not an easy catch when it's one of those like easy plays for the offense. You're looking at off-man coverage with your receiver running a 5-yard out route. It should be a really quick, easy conversion for the offense, and Jaylon Jones makes this as difficult as it can be on this play. So that's, I mean, again, he gives up a catch on this play. I'm not going to say it's like perfect on every single metric, but this is what you want to see from a young corner, especially in the preseason here. This next clip, though, is my one negative that I have with Jaylon Jones' game, and honestly, I'm gonna break it down a little bit and talk about where he could have won this rep. This is for proper context. I believe this is like a 3rd and 2. We're in the red zone situation from the 12-yard line. Jaylon Jones is backside in the 3-by-1, and he's playing press coverage. He's playing press man coverage. This is how Ron Miles, the Colts DB coach, teaches it. He's going to be shading the inside shoulder so he can, open up if it's going to be a fade route, so he can take away that inside release. And the way that the Colts teach press coverage is they teach it like the step kick technique. The step kick technique is what the Seattle Seahawks did back in the day with Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner. And essentially what you have with step kick, unlike other press coverage techniques where you're kind of giving up ground or you're going to mirror and match a receiver and kind of match the movements, in step kick, you're doing all the dictating as a corner. You're taking your one pierce step, you're establishing that position, and then you're reacting to the receiver once they pick a side to attack you. So if this receiver's breaking inside, that's when you open up and you start coming downhill and doing what you have to do. If the receiver picks outside, then you run him to the sideline and you kind of dictate where he's taking that route. Unlike mirror and match, where you're kind of just matching what the guy's doing and following him down the field. So what we're going to see here is Jaylon Jones starts off this rep really, really good in step kick. He takes that one pierce step. That was his one pierce step right there. If you guys missed it, let me go back here. Watch his left foot here at the snap. He takes his one pierce step, gets that foot in the ground, and right here he needs to establish position. This is his position. This is where, like, if the receiver starts to cross him, that's when you adjust. But right now, this is his position. He can't retreat from this position in the step kick technique. And what we see here, and where this route becomes a loss for Jaylon Jones, is as Daurice Fountain is making all these moves here in front of him, he starts to panic a little bit. He gets a little off balance. You can see him; he's not super square in his positioning right here. So he starts to give up ground. He's giving up ground before he has to. And he's reacting so much to all this movement here by Daurice Fountain where he really needs to just establish that line and make contact. You got to make contact. You got to disrupt that route, establish your footing with that step kick, and then dictate what's going on. So he starts to give up ground, and you can't do that on a route situation where this is likely going to be a slant. He opens up those hips, and he allows Daurice Fountain to get that inside position where, yeah, sure, you have a little bit of help on the inside, but when you're backside on a 3-by-1, this linebacker is going to be reading this side. This has to be much more aggressive on the step kick here by Jaylon Jones. And you see, again, that explosiveness comes into play. He nearly makes a play on the ball and breaks that pass up, but just that little misstep there in press coverage, just giving up a little bit of ground right there where he should not have given up ground, just giving up that little bit of ground and not getting physical right there with Daurice Fountain, gives Fountain just enough space to go inside on the slant route and get that catch for the first down conversion. So not the best overall rep. I do like how he recovered and still made a play on the ball, but the reason why this ended up being a first down is because of this step right here. This step right here, retreating in the step kick because he was already losing his balance and he was getting just kind of wrapped up in all the footwork by the receiver. That is where he lost the rep and he didn't get physical. So when you see that, again, this is not a horrible rep. It's just something that you can improve on going forward. And where I want to finish this film room off is how he kind of bounced back from it later in the game. This was against Darius Fountain yet again, a really good battle between these two guys here. So you have Jaylon Jones versus Darius Fountain. This is going to be a vertical route up the field. And just like the earlier rep, this is going to be press coverage. This is going to be press coverage. You got press coverage on the outside because it's such a bunch formation. You got the 4 guys over the middle. You got the 3 deep. And because it's such a tight formation, you're going to have these guys in press man coverage. So Jaylon Jones responsible for this man on an island. Again, this is like this is a second and like 10 situation or something. So it's kind of a weird situation here for this type of formation, but it's preseason. It's what happens. So he's going to be in the same situation as he was before, where he's in that press coverage against Darius Fountain on the outside. Again, he's by himself. He's kind of on an island, and he's face up with this wide receiver. This is 1v1, everything that you want to see from a young cornerback in the preseason. And he's going to start off, again, doing everything right with his step kick technique. He's going to take that pierce step right there. Take that pierce step, establish that footing. And what we see here is he doesn't really give up that ground until the receiver is committing. So earlier, Jaylon Jones started to open up those hips when Fountain was just doing all his dancing at the line. He wasn't crossing or dictating a path. Here, Jaylon Jones gets that back step, and he's still square. He's not retreating yet. He's still staying square. Only when Fountain starts to work up the sideline, then you see Jaylon Jones open up those hips to turn and run with him. So already this is a much better step kick route step kick rep than what we saw earlier in that previous situation. So what we have here with step kick, and another thing I really want to note with step kick here is in step kick press technique, when a receiver's breaking inside, your route or your just angle as a corner needs to be straight down this line to pinch it as much as possible to make anything inside as difficult as you can as a corner. When it comes to these outside releases here, you want to have more of that 45-degree angle. You want to have it a little more opened up because you want to pinch this receiver to the sideline. You just want to open up and pinch them. It's not going to be as tight as what you would want on an inside release. So when that slant route was happening earlier, Jaylon Jones needed to be a lot tighter coming downhill. With this outside release here, it's okay if he opens up his hip a little bit more because you're okay with running this receiver to the sideline. So once you have the receiver in this situation, again, this is a really, really good spot for Jaylon Jones. He's opening that hip to the sideline. He's in that 45-degree angle. Darius Fountain's trying to work outside. Right here is where you need to initiate contact. Just disrupt that route as much as possible. Make that quarterback hold the ball from 2 seconds to 4 seconds and make this timing just an absolute train wreck as a corner. And what we see from Jaylon Jones is he does exactly that. He gets his hands on the shoulder right here. Hands on, pinching to the sideline, staying square. So if this is a comeback route, he's able to come back and break on it while also just harassing the heck out of the wide receiver trying to go vertical. Again, hand on the shoulder, pinching him as much as possible, getting some little shoves in there to get him off balance, throw off that timing, and pinch him as much as possible. And then when you get to the situation where the ball is coming out and he's seeing the receiver's eyes like get big looking back at that ball, he's able to turn back and make a play on this ball. After pinching the receiver again, he's pinching this player all the way to the outside hat. Like, this is the most outside you can pinch a receiver on a vertical route. Look where this receiver starts, just outside the numbers. And if you're a receiver, you want to kind of stay as close to those outside of the numbers as possible so that ball can kind of you have a little bit of space, if that ball is thrown out to the sideline. Here, Jaylon Jones makes this as difficult as a pass as possible by pinching this receiver as close to the sideline as you can, while also getting his head back and making a play on the ball and nearly coming away with an interception. Like, Darius Fountain actually does a great job of knocking that ball away. But this is as textbook as it gets for defending a vertical route in step kick press technique. You get the pierce step, you get the 45-degree angle, you get the just harassing the wide receiver with physicality, and then you get him staying on top of the route at all times and getting his head back and making a play on the ball. And this is why I am sky high on this young corner. This is everything you want to see from a young corner here. And again, this is a guy who ran a 4.57 in the 40-yard dash, a player where you're scared of his ability to turn and run with wide receivers because of that 40 time. There's no issue right here. This is Darius Fountain, a really good, athletic, young wide receiver, and Jaylon Jones is able to turn with him with ease, run up the field, stay on top of the route, and make a play on the ball. Just a really, really good technician, and he's always competitive, super explosive. I am all in on 7th-round rookie Jaylon Jones. I'm not saying that he should be the starter from day one, but I think of all the Colts rookie cornerbacks, as of right now, he's the furthest along in his development. I'm still high on Juju Brents going forward. I'm still high on Darius Rush going forward. But Jaylon Jones right now is the most ready to play in NFL games, and it's because of reps like this. Just a really, really solid rep, and you really like what you're seeing from a corner who can do this with such ease. So Jaylon Jones, again, rookie cornerback, 7th-round pick out of Texas A&M. I'm loving his film. I liked everything he did in this game against Chicago Bears, and I'm excited to see the future with him. But that's all we have for today, guys. Again, kind of a quick one just to talk about Jaylon Jones and everything he did in this past week. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, please hit that subscribe button here on the Horseshoe Huddle YouTube channel, or also follow me on social medias. Again, I'm on Twitter at Zach Hicks2, your lovely host here and lead analyst over at horseshoehuddle.com through Fan Nation and Sports Illustrated. We'll catch you guys next time, hopefully again to talk some more Anthony Richardson. But for now, again, I'm enjoying this 7th-round rookie. So if we just keep talking other rookies, I'm not going to complain at all. But I'll catch you guys next time.